Hello everyone, happy day. How are you? Good to see you all. I think you're all looking pretty beautiful today. I don't have to see you to know that you're looking beautiful because we're all beautiful in God's eyes. Today I'm going to share with you a story from Chicken Soup for the Unsinkable Soul. I love Chicken Soup for the Soul, and I have, I think, probably all of them. They're just great little inspirational stories. But this one is called A Lesson in Cloud Recognition. It had been another long week of conducting training sessions throughout the country. I generally like to relax on the flight home, do some easy reading, maybe even close my eyes for a few minutes. I try to be open to whatever does happen, though. I usually say a little prayer. Whoever is supposed to sit next to me, let it be so, and help me be open to that. On this particular day, I boarded the plane and noticed a young boy, around 8 years old, sitting in the window seat next to mine. I love kids. However, I was tired. My first instinct was, oh boy, I'm not sure about this. Trying my best to be friendly, I said hello and introduced myself. He told me his name was Bradley. We struck up a conversation, and within minutes, he took me into his confidence, saying, "This is the first time I have ever been on a plane. I'm a little bit nervous." He told me that he and his family had driven to see his cousins and that he had got to stay longer after his family had returned home. Now he was flying home all by himself. "Flying is a piece of cake," I tried to reassure him. "It's one of the easiest things you'll ever do." And I paused, thinking for a moment, and then asked him, "Have you ever been on a roller coaster?" "I love roller coasters." "Do you ride them without hands?" "Oh yeah, I love to," he giggled, as I acted as if I was horrified. "Do you ever ride in the front?" I asked with a pretense of fear on my face. "Yeah, I try to get in the front every time." "And you're not afraid of that?" He shook his head no, clearly sensing that he was now one up on me. Well, this flight will be nothing compared to that. I won't even ride roller coasters, and I'm not the least bit afraid to fly. A smile edged its way onto his face. "Is that right?" I could see that he was starting to think that maybe he was brave after all. The plane began to taxi down the runway. As we ascended, he looked out the window and began describing with great excitement everything he was experiencing. He commented on the cloud formations and the pictures they seemed to paint in the sky. "Look, this cloud looks like a butterfly, and that one looks like a horse." Suddenly, I saw this flight through the eyes of an 8-year-old boy. It was as if it were the first time that I had ever flown. Later, Bradley asked me what I did for a living. I told him about the training that I conduct and mentioned that I also do radio and television commercials. His eyes lit up. "My sister and I did a television commercial once." "You did? What was that like for you?" He said that it was very exciting for both of them. Then he told me that he needed to go to the bathroom. I stood up to let him out into the aisle. It was then that I noticed the braces on his legs. Bradley slowly made his way down to the bathroom and back. When he sat back down, he explained, "I have muscular dystrophy. My sister has it too. She's in a wheelchair now. That's why we did that commercial. We were poster children for muscular dystrophy." As we began our descent, he looked over, smiled, and spoke in a hushed, almost embarrassed voice. "You know, I was really worried about who would sit next to me on the plane. I was afraid it would be someone crabby who didn't want to talk to me. I'm so glad I sat next to you." Thinking about the whole experience later that night, I was reminded of the value of being open to the moment. A week that began with me being the trainer ended with me being the student. Now, when times get rough, and they inevitably do, I look out the window and try to see what images the clouds are painting in the sky. And I remember Bradley, the beautiful child who taught me that lesson. This was written by Joyce A. Harvey. And one of the reasons why I love this story is because it's just a beautiful story. But last year, or in the last couple of years, I've been able to do some traveling. And I went to a UCC synod in Indianapolis. And on the way back from Indianapolis, I happened to sit next to this young woman who seemed very nervous and anxious. And I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "I've never flown before." She said, "And what's more nerve-wracking for me is that my two little boys are sitting in front of us, and they've never flown before." And I said, "Don't worry, I will talk you through the process of the plane ride." I said, "But you have to look out the window." And she said, "I can't." And I said, "You have to. You have to be able to look at the clouds. You have to be able to look at the earth as we are flying up into the sky. It's an experience that you will treasure and be excited about for the rest of your life." And I said, "There may be a little bit of turbulence." And she said, "What's that?" And I explained it to her. I said, "But it's okay. You'll be okay." And she said, "Well, suppose we're not." I said, "Well, if we're not, then we're going to maybe go to see God together, aren't we? All four of us." I said, "But I don't think that's going to happen, because the chances of that happening are very minute." Well, anyway, the plane starts to get ready to take off, and she reaches forward to grab one of her son's hands, and she says, "Can I hold your hand?" And I said, "Absolutely." And then she said, "Can you hold my other son's hand?" So I said, "Absolutely." So the four of us were holding hands until we got up into the sky. And then the boys opened the blind so they could see outside. And of course they were peeking back through the chair telling Mom about the beautiful cloud formations and how excited they were. And then she said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, one of the many things that I do in life is that I'm a pastor." And she said, "You're kidding me." She said, "I prayed that God sent me someone for this trip." She said, "I'm leaving from a very abusive relationship and I'm running away to be with my family. They have given us the plane tickets and we are going to a place where we will feel safe." She said, "God put you on this plane with us today." And I said, "No, it was for me. It was my blessing." When we got to the airport, I assured them that I would hang out with them until they got onto their next flight. And as we were there in the airport, the little boy that was sitting in front of me said, "Can I give you a hug?" And you all know me, I love to hug, so of course I did. And I have this beautiful, treasured memory. So this story touched my heart and reminded me of that beautiful day. And I've got another one that I'll share with you soon. But for now, have a beautiful, blessed day, and I hope this story touched your heart. God bless you all.